According to the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, stormy weather conditions could continue across the region until January 2021. The November 30th date is the official end of the Atlantic hurricane season, and that date for 2020 is approximately 19 days away. However, the Meteorological Service of Jamaica has advised that Jamaicans should expect more hurricane-like conditions across the region up to January 2021. Based on statements coming from the head of the Meteorological Service, the current series of stormy weather conditions that have been affecting Jamaica is based on a number of factors. First, it has been a very active hurricane season, and this becomes more true as the season comes to an end. However, it is believed that this is the most active hurricane season that has ever been recorded, because as it stands, Eta has passed by and now they have Theta. Theta is the 29th named storm which has developed. It is currently a subtropical storm, but that now shows us that we are moving into a new paradigm, a new shift in our atmosphere. It could be cyclical. It could be that there are periods of increased activity that we may have to go through, and after we've gone through that period of increased activity, we may also have to go through another period of lower activity. That is a possibility that we must consider. It should also be noted that the weather conditions that have persisted through the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season indicates that our climate is actually changing. The evidence from this Atlantic hurricane season supports climate change. We need to look to the future as more of these seasons will occur each year. The indications from earlier in 2020 were that there would be an overly active hurricane season. The conditions are similar to those that would have occurred 15 years ago. The first time that we had to utilize letters from the Greek alphabet was in 2005. We went as far as naming a storm Eta. Now we have gone farther than Eta, and we are currently at a tropical storm Theta. The season has not yet ended. We have another 19 days to go before we complete this season. Our season is likely to be extended in terms of hurricane activity. So for this year, having already passed Eta, having already had Theta, we are now going into other letters. So we could be seeing some more systems. And November does not necessarily mean it will end, because in 2005 it went as far as January. It could again go into January if conditions remain conducive for these systems to develop in the tropics. In the interim, however, the current developments in the Central Caribbean, where a tropical wave is moving in, will produce increased rainfall once again. How much Jamaica will be impacted by this system and how much that system will develop in a tropical storm or hurricane is yet to be determined. It's still a little bit too early, so the forecast for that system remains quite uncertain. But by the time we get to this weekend, we should be seeing an increase in rainfall in the central regions of the Caribbean, and this will impact Jamaica in some way. There is also some additional news for Jamaica. Jamaica has been lashed by heavy rainfall for the past 3 weeks, which has resulted in landslides, flooding, and road blockages. We have not yet gone through our rainy season. October normally represents the peak of rainfall season in Jamaica, and it gradually decreases in November until we get to the start of the dry season in December. However, the upside of the continued rains would mean that the island would not be plunged into drought conditions as early as it has been in previous years. The one good point will mean that for many of us, the forecast for the next couple of months is still for above normal rainfall. So drought should not set in the way that it did over the past few years, just because we have had these conditions that have affected the weather over the region. Heavy rainfalls are usually very good signs that drought conditions would diminish. Just before we started getting this set of heavy rainfalls in Jamaica, we were experiencing drought conditions. As time progresses, we will see a later onset to drought conditions, so possibly we will not have any droughts next year. He also noted that the weather experts have in fact forecast more severe droughts in the future. The Atlantic hurricane season officially starts in June each year and is usually scheduled to end in November of each year. But in some years, like in 2005, and many forecasters are assuming that a similar occurrence will happen in 2020, where the season will extend to January. This Atlantic hurricane season has been extremely busy, and Theta is the next named storm, and there is also an additional area to watch in the Caribbean. Theta is currently in the eastern Atlantic, and it has signaled a record-breaking for the number of storms that have been named in any hurricane season for the Atlantic regions. A tropical wave is also in the Caribbean Sea, and this tropical wave could become the 30th named storm later this week. The record-breaking Atlantic hurricane season continues with Theta in the eastern Atlantic and another area to watch in the Caribbean that could eventually threaten Central America. In addition to Eta, which is taking aim at Florida's Gulf Coast. So there is Eta, there is Theta, and then there's a tropical wave. That's a triple threat. Theta formed in the eastern Atlantic Ocean just before 10 p.m. on Monday. It is approximately 1,000 miles to the southwest of the Azores, and it has become the 29th named storm of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. This has surpassed the previous record of the number of named storms in any season, which was 28 in the year 2005. Many of these 29 storms have impacted the United States as well, with 12 landfalls being made in this year. For 2020, the Atlantic hurricane season rushed through the standard list of 21 names. Tropical cyclone activity was off to an early start, with 2 named storms before the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season on June 1. Arthur developed on May 16, and Bertha was named on May 27th. Wilfred formed on September 18th, more than 2 months before the official end of the Atlantic hurricane season. On September 18th, another system became better defined, and the first name of the Greek alphabet list was used, and this became known as Subtropical Storm Alpha, which made landfall in Portugal. Theta became the 8th Greek named storm that has been used from the list since 2020 on November 9th. The last time 2 named storms were at the same time in the season was in December 1887. There have never been 3 tropical cyclones at the same time in the Atlantic in November of any given year. The latest that this has occurred was on October 18th in 1950. In addition to Eta and Theta, there is another area to watch. This next area to watch is a tropical wave that is expected to move towards the western Caribbean Sea. A tropical wave is currently located over the central Caribbean Sea and is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Conditions are expected to be favorable for it to become a tropical depression or a storm late this week or over the weekend as it slowly moves westward. It is too early for details to be given on the possible impacts of this system or where it could turn, but there is a possibility that it could eventually bring more rainfall to parts of Central America next week and to areas that previously experienced flooding from Eta. If it becomes a tropical storm, it would get the next Greek alphabet name, Iota, and would become the 30th named storm of the historic 2000 Atlantic hurricane season. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about Eta continuing towards Florida and Theta forming recently, and the tropical wave that has a potential of being named Iota. As it stands, Theta is in the eastern Atlantic, and it is the 29th named storm. There's a tropical wave in the central regions of the Caribbean that is expected to become the 30th named storm as the week progresses. Be safe and ensure that you protect your family and yourself. Goodbye.